Greetings Guardians, my name is Bife here. Really quickly, this video does not have a script, I'm recording this super fast, and I'm making sure that I can get it out quickly because I'm working along with Martin to edit the massive complete story video that I've been working on. So yeah, don't expect any kind of incredible edits or anything along these lines. This is mostly reviewing what happened in the very end of the Season of the Wish anyway. So yeah, for those of you who are jumping in and want just that, yeah, keep that in mind. As a quick note though, that complete story video, we are currently looking to release it on the 31st of May. If it looks like we won't be able to release it then, for whatever reason, I'll update you all, but that is the projected release date. So, keep an eye out on that. If you are a fan of the old one, it is going to have as much detail, if not more, and of course, instead of going up to Shadowkeep, this one goes up to Final Shape, so it will give you a review of all the story so that you're just ready for that new expansion. Anyway, without much further ado, let's talk about the season finale of Season of the Wish, which of course is the prelude to Final Shape. Okay, so this is me again, after having done the finale, and this is me telling you, haha, spoiler alert, right here, right now. If you haven't played the finale, go ahead and play it. Also, don't look on social media, because, yeah, it's everywhere. It is absolutely everywhere. Yeah. Spoiler warning over. Let's go ahead and talk about the mission before we talk about anything else. So, the mission comes from Osiris, and basically there is a problem. You see, the plan is to create a bridge using Mara and Crow's connection, and having Mara and Crow respectively entangled with the connection between the Pale Heart of the Traveler and the Veil. Remember that these two entities have been cosmically linked, just like Mara and Crow are linked. And so we're going to use those two connections to plot our way through. However, the Veil's connection is being scuppered somehow. It's being blocked. There's interference. And that interference originates from the Black Garden. Those of you who played Destiny 1, those of you who played the mission to get deterministic chaos, you may have an idea of what's about to happen. So yeah, we go through the heart of the Black Garden, the Soul Divisive Vex are upon us as before, and we eventually find ourselves all the way back to a very familiar place. Yes, we face another Heart of the Black Garden, just like we did at the very end of Destiny 1 Vanilla. And yes, the boss structure is exactly the same. This feels like more of a paying homage type situation, but I do wish that there was something a bit more, seeing as Destiny 1's original final boss was very much lambasted for not being a great fight. So how does this work, narratively speaking? Well, it's complicated. The original Heart of the Black Garden was something that was planted in the Black Garden by the Witness. It was a divinity that was so terrible and so incalculable that the Soul Divisive, the Vex of the Black Garden, decided to bind themselves to it with worship in order to survive. Vex doing what they do, they're always trying to survive. The Witness has clearly helped again, as Osiris says. The Heart of the Black Garden was a failed copy of the Veil, as we know, and more importantly, it creates interference. By planting another one, the Witness was trying to scupper our plans one last time in order to get in via our connection. So we had to destroy this thing in order to remove the interference. The Vex of the Black Garden, well, they would have seen this as the rebirth of another divinity, and so they would have done exactly as they had in the past and they would have worshipped it. Worth noting, the three minds that you fight at the end of Destiny 1, their names are representative of past, present, and future, and we see that exact same structure here again. We see the present mind first, and then the future mind next, and then the past mind last, I believe. Which, if I'm not mistaken, is the exact same way that it was done in Destiny 1. So, yeah, they're paying homage to that in a very appropriate manner. The Soul Divisive, though, I mean, yeah, they basically did the exact same thing as they had before, which is maybe not surprising because their ultimate need to be bound to this divinity has been the thing that undid them. They may have helped to nurture this second Heart of the Black Garden, but the problem then becomes the fact that the Witness probably didn't want them to do the exact same thing as they'd done before and bind themselves to it. But the Vex of the Soul Divisive just can't help themselves, it would appear. Because again, they need to be close to the source of divinity that they think is going to allow them to survive into the end of the universe. Which means that the Heart of the Black Garden could be killed by the exact same method as it was before, because the Vex had indwelled some of its power within them, and when they were destroyed with its corrupting power, it was all over once again. history repeats itself, and the battle that we did about 10 years ago, at the very end of Destiny 1, repeated itself here in these final moments. And so, we broke that up. The interference between the Veil and the Pale Heart of the Traveler has been quelled. Mara and Crow's link is complete, practically speaking, and that leads us to the cutscene. Yeah. One final spoiler alert warning for all of you here, just in case. You all good? Okay, let's talk about that. Boy oh boy do I love some narrative symmetry, and boy oh boy does Bungie love to play on this particular moment. You remember the point in Forsaken at the very beginning when Cayde was on his back and being aimed at by Aldrin? Yeah, we've come full circle, and I do love that. It is fantastic. I'd also love to point out again, the entire thing of "you died, so did you" is a brilliant little bit of symmetry, also assisted by the fact that Glint came along and of course showed that Crow is not the same as Aldrin Sov. This is not something that gives us any crazy narrative hints or leaps forward, but there are a few things that we can gain from this. First of all, the Cayde that we know here in this cutscene is indeed the same Cayde with regards to his memories. This was something that we didn't really have as much confirmation on from previous iterations of Cayde, but we know that this Cayde that we see here is in fact capable of remembering what happened to him. After all, he shows a clear recognition of who Aldrin is, and perhaps more importantly, he's got the double confirmation saying, "I don't have to call you Prince anymore." So, yeah, this is absolutely our version of Cayde, as best we can tell. How did Cayde get risen? Well, the Unforeseen Consequences ship might give us a hint there. I think it might have been wish magic. I covered this in a video months ago, but basically, at a certain point in time, Riven decided to masquerade as Mara Sov within the throne that you can go to on week 3 of the Dreaming City missions, using the Oracle engine. From there, Riven, who again was pretending to be Mara, posed a question to Crow, which was simply, "Do you have any regrets?" And Crow said, "I wish I could have spoken to him one last time," and apologized. Him being Cayde. And as a result, well, wish magic happened. Riven just apparently couldn't help herself but grant one last wish. Whether that is actually the case or not isn't totally clear. It's definitely being pushed currently in the lore, but we don't have an explicit confirmation. We probably need to hear that from Cayde. Remember, it is too early to confirm that. Whilst it is likely, Bungie loves to leave us red herrings and little bits of symmetry, and there are other forces that can act through the different threads of fate that will lead to certain similar outcomes. So, I mean, take an example of Praedyth, right? Praedyth absolutely wished that the hunt would go on forever when he was hunting the Ahamkara, and the go on forever bit was capitalized on by a wish dragon, and as a result he was stuck forever in the Vault of Glass, forever trying to find a way out. However, keep in mind, it was the Vex that did this. Cayde has not necessarily been resurrected by pure wish magic, it may have been wish magic that simply tipped the balance a little bit. So, yeah, is that all wish magic? Is it something else? Is it something to do with the Traveler? I don't know. But then again, also remember, there are dragons inside the Pale Heart, and we know this because of some of the recent reveals of things like, you know, various items and aspects and different things you can do with Prismatic on Hunter, where you're literally in a strike where you're surrounded by dragon skulls and you need to empower them with different kinds of energy, and it's explicitly stated there that it's wish dragons. Even the boss name states that it's the Tormentor of Ahamkara, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, you're looking at something which has a lot of further reaching implications for the Ahamkara storyline. And that leads us to the last little bit that I'm going to tag on here at the very end, before doing outro and leaving you lovely people with it, which is simply this. Oh yeah, 3 new exotics dropped, and some of them are really worth talking about. Let's start with the most unremarkable of the bunch, which is just the Hunter one. It's called Balance of Power. It's got one side of it that looks like it's attuned to light and another that's attuned to dark. It might have something to do with Strand given the green motifs, but it's way too early to tell, and as best I can see, there isn't much going on with regards to this piece of armor that gives us any lore hints. The next one is for Titans, and this isn't truly the very big one, in my mind, although it does have big implications. This almost certainly is a Strand exotic, given the actual green motifs and the green energy that are playing through it, but also it's called Wishful Ignorance, and it looks as though it's got half a dragon skull on each shoulder. So yeah, yet more dragon confirmations, and yet more implications that they will be in the Pale Heart. I don't know what's going on with this one, and I don't know what's happening, but the one little bit of flavor text that you do get with this exotic is something along the lines of, "Into the Pale Heart, the hunt continues on," which is again a reference to the Great Hunt. So, are there dragons proper, fully, completely inside the Pale Heart of the Traveler? Who knows? There have long been theories from a few different parties that the Ahamkara came from the Traveler, but we have no clue as to the reality of it, and we might find out. And the very last thing to touch on is the Warlock helmet, which is called Speaker's Sight. And yes, it literally looks like a speaker's mask, for those of you who are wondering. Boy oh boy does that have some implications. Remember that when it comes to the actual mask of the speaker, it was something that he wore that allowed him to better hear the voice of the Traveler. In fact, without it, he couldn't hear it at all. This was something that was very important because, well, back in the old days of the collapse/Dark Age/City Age, prior to the reawakening of the Traveler in Destiny 2 Vanilla, you couldn't actually hear the voice of the Traveler if you had that talent. You would have to wear a attunement device, something that amplified the music of the Traveler that could be heard, the music of its individual sphere. And so that's what the speaker made. He made a mask that was effectively an amplifier, and when wearing it, he could actually hear what the Traveler was saying. Now again, there is a little bit of minutiae there because this was more of a generalistic broadcast. It was not aimed directly at the speaker all the time. Sometimes it was attempting to be heard by others, and it seems fairly clear that the speaker had that in mind whenever he was talking about it, because, I mean, take a look at the words he said to Gaul in his last few moments. "I hear the voice of the Traveler, I never said it spoke to me. I spoke for the Traveler, I never said it spoke for me." Words along those lines. The point is, speaker's masks are a big deal. Using this exotic, one might hope that it's got some really intriguing lore notes behind it. As for what it will do, who knows, but the implications there are really fascinating. Having a direct link into the Traveler itself and to its voice is a very cool concept, and I do hope that we get something neat with this. As a quick note, this has been done before with stuff in-game, so it's not unprecedented that we could use this and actually pick up on the further words of the Traveler. And the reason I say that is because, well, look at Nezarec. Normally, the dialogue you get out of Nezarec was nothing but unintelligible whispers, but when you wore Nezarec's helm as a warlock, or when you had Nezarec's glaive, or even just the Delicate Tomb, all items that were related to Nezarec, you would actually hear those whispers turn from unintelligible garbage into actual voice lines. And so that's how we were able to pick up on what Nezarec was doing prior to Root of Nightmares, and when Nezarec died on Root of Nightmares, the whispers stopped. So yeah, it's not unprecedented. I'm not going to sit there and say it's likely, but just if you are a warlock and you get this and it happens to fit, try running around with it. See what happens. You have no idea. So maybe it is going to have something going on with it, maybe it isn't, but if it does, yeah, we're listening at that point to the inner voice and monologue of the Traveler. Anyway, that's most of what we've got for today. I will be publishing more videos as time goes on. I'll definitely have something going up on Thursday because I want to talk about what they publish in the TWAB. In particular, I want to talk about what's going on with regards to the Pantheon bosses. I know that there's been TWAB lore that's been released every single week for them. So with Riven and Nezarec's additional lore bits being published this week, I'll just go through all of them and then we can have a quick video on that. Also, obligatory shout out in this moment and an obligatory note for all of you. There will be 2 more videos that are coming very soon. Those 2 videos are as follows. First of all, there is a massive video that I have on the Winnower. The Winnower is a massive topic and it's very theoretical. I wanted to go ahead and throw that out there because it's something that has been building in the background for a while. We have that done and dusted and it will go up at some point later this week. The second video, which is going to release on the 31st of May, hopefully, assuming everything works. Man, yeah, that's a big deal. It's the complete story of the Light and Dark Saga video. It is 38 sections long, it is massive. It has got to the point where we've recorded it all, Martin and I are editing through it together, and we are on track to get everything done. It goes through everything, and it will be longer than the previous video, which was already 4 hours. As a result, we're going to try and release it with a premiere that pushes it to something like 2:30 p.m. on the day, UK time that is, so that'll be early in the morning for you US people. Means that the final video itself will be fully visible after premiere when it has finally finished up, and that should hopefully be sometime before 8:30 p.m, which would be the normal video upload time. That being said, it's a long video. I've cut out any extraneous detail that isn't needed, but also I've tried to make the story as comprehensible as possible. It's hopefully going to be really good, but we've also got fantastic artwork coming along with that from Aslar. He has made some amazing title art that helps to really summarize the theme of every single new chapter as we go into it, and yeah, using this I think we'll be able to tell the complete story in the best manner possible. So I'm really excited. I hope that all of you are too. Again, 31st of May, keep an eye on the channel. But with all of that said, as per usual, know that your viewership as always is quite enough for me, and that in the meantime my name is Byf. Rodacia ad Astra. I'll see you Starside.